Ben and Me, Chapter 3, The Bargain. When I woke up, the room was sizzling warm. Ben was happily writing, as usual, and I went over to see what was going on. So far, he had written with a lot of flourishes. An account of the new Pennsylvania fireplaces recently invented by Dr. Benjamin Franklin, wherein their constitution and their... Ben, I said, we'll have to come to an understanding. Do you recollect your exact words when it worked? Why, yes, I do, he admitted very prompt. He was always fair, Ben was, just over-enthusiastic about himself. As I remember, those words were, Amos, we've done it. Exactly, says I. We've done it. We means two, you and me. Now let's get things straight, Ben. Fame and honors are nothing to me, cheeses. Also, there's my family to consider, 25 brothers and sisters in a cold vestry and hungry. I can be a great help to you. I've proved that. Now, what do you propose? He looked pretty thoughtful. Then I could feel a quotation coming on. Finally, it did. The laborer is worthy of his hire, he said. I don't labor, I said. I think. And maxims don't fill empty stomachs. And not a bad one itself. Be specific. Well, we've talked it over for some time, and Ben was very reasonable about the whole affair. Generous, too. I think that being comfortably warm for once helped that. We finally made the following agreement. Twice a week, rain or shine, he promised to have delivered to the vestry. 1 2-ounce piece of best quality cheese, 1 1-inch slice of rye bread, which was fresh, 88 grains unhulled wheat. For myself, I was to have as home or domicile to me in my heirs, to have and to hold forever without let or hindrance, with daily substance and clothing, in addition thereto 1 fur cap. On my part, I was faithfully to give and perform to him, Benjamin Franklin, advice, aid, assistance, and succor at all times and under all conditions, and with him constantly to abide till death did us part, so help me. Ben wrote it up all neat with lots of flourishes, Latin phrases, and seals. Then we both signed it and shook hands on the bargain. He was fine about the whole thing and never used a single maxim. I must say he lived up to it too. Not once in all the rest of his life did that bread, cheese, and wheat fail to reach the vestry twice a week, regular as clockwork. After that, we sat around for a while, basking in the warmth, and I couldn't help thinking how my fortunes had changed in a short 24 hours. Here I was in a snug, comfortable home, my family well provided for, with a good friend and an interesting future. I felt so much at peace with the world that when Ben finally asked, Amos, what shall we call this affair? I said, My friend is the credit, it's all yours. We hereby call it the Franklin Stove. Then we went to bed. I was soon comfortably settled in my new home. Ben, who was fairly well skilled with the needle, began to contrive many ingenious little improvements in the fur cap. There was a small compartment where I could keep a supply of food against an emergency, and of course a place for sleeping. There was also a peephole at the front through which I could watch where we were going. That was of great value, for the streets of Philadelphia were at all times most ill-paved and congested. Ben never had his wits about him, and I was often able to prevent him from plunging into a mud puddle or a market cart. However, the most important improvement that we devised was a small hole in the lining of the cap, just above his left ear. Through this, I was able to give him, unnoticed by others, my observations and advice. Historians have been puzzled at the way Dr. Franklin seemed to know what was going on in the minds of others. He didn't. The things that I discovered and told him made it seem as though he did. The only remarkable thing about the whole business was me. Ben soon became so dependent on my advice that he seldom ventured abroad without me. The fur cap, which formerly he had used only in inclement weather, he now wore constantly, indoors and out, doffing it only in the privacy of our own room. This, of course, attracted no little attention, but Ben always enjoyed that.